Welcome to the Catholic Table Talk podcast. This is where everything Catholic is on the table. New episodes Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on most podcast platforms. Here's your host, William Sauber.
And welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank you again for joining myself as we enter into another episode here on Catholic Table Talk podcast. Wouldn't be possible without your continued support. Especially today's sponsor is Dr. George Saguma. Dr. George Saguma is a family physician who practices holistic health and healing. Find more at drgeorge.com. Thank you for Dr. George for sponsoring today's episode as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, rate the show wherever you get your podcast, pretty much. Also, find us at catholictabletalk.com. Also, for show speaker requests and also merchandise info and just sponsorship, all that more easily accessible at catholictc@gmail.com. Again, it's Catholic with two T's at gmail.com. It's kind of the fastest way to get a hold of myself, but also, like I said, check out that nice new design website, catholictabletalk.com. All right, so one of the things I like about Catholic Table Talk, and of course, if you're familiar with the show, I bring on guests so they can tell about their story, excuse me, and then their conversions or whatever they're doing in their in the Catholic faith from their point of view, on their perspective. And today we'll have on a couple kind of newlyweds still, just got married in 2022. Beth and Stephen Gesinski. They are a Catholic couple with a passion for sharing the faith. They have discussed the idea of starting a Catholic podcast for quite some time, and they finally took the leap in 2023. From that, they sprang three books, a put-on-demand shop, and a blog. Both of them grew up Catholic and experienced obstacles and trials like all Catholics do in their faith journeys, but all of that helped lead them to each other and where they are now. In their media, they discuss various topics within the faith, but also have a special love for mystery and liturgy. They strive to pass on knowledge using the three-legged stool of scripture, sacred tradition, and the magisterium. And the goal is to teach, and they also learn alongside you. So pretty familiar, pretty identical with what Catholic Table Talk does. Their podcast and whole ministry website is Catholicism and Coffee. So it's a great website to look at. If you like coffee, I mean it's not just coffee, but I mean it's a great name. Let's put it that way. So let's welcome to the show, Beth. Beth and Stephen Gesinski. So thank you both again, like I said, for what you do and taking the time to come on the show.
Well, thanks for having us. It's a fun. We enjoy your show too. I've checked out a couple of episodes and some of your interviews. So I'm like, hey, let's hook up and try to make this work.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah. So just like I said, one of you or both of you can kind of share about the show, but tell us more about Catholicism and Coffee, and what was the story more behind of starting and why to start it.
Well, we were talking about starting a Catholic podcast together for quite some time before we were even married.
yeah, we filmed an episode when we were still engaged.
Yes. It's somewhere in the nether.
I know exactly where it is.
Oh, okay,
It's never seen the light of day because it's not a very good one.
Gotcha.
Yes.
But we talked about it on and off for almost 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, it was a while. And then we were not quite a year married, and we're like, you know what? Let's just take the plunge. Let's get started. Let's make this thing a reality. And then we came up with a schedule to help hold us accountable. Be like, okay, we're going to try to release an episode every week. We're going to keep recording and keep doing the work.
Lots of research.
But we both just had a passion for learning about the faith, for sharing our faith, and we both have some performance background, so a podcast seemed like a very natural thing to do.
Yeah. And I'm a theology nerd, so getting to read about Catholicism is like Christmas for me. So I got to break open the catechism quite often, which is always fun.
Sure. I bet. So I mean, with that being said, if you don't mind, I'll throw in a quick question here as we just something that came to mind was, you know, so like for me when I started it, because again, it's like what how I started the show is like, I'm like, okay, I got this feeling about starting a podcast, and then I finally kind of came about. And I mean, I'm not like a big go hang out guy. I mean, I got friends and stuff, right? But I don't like go out every night and hang out. Like my brother, he's gone every night. Um, so I mean, is it more just like you're both home on the evenings and it works out better? I mean, you both love doing it together. Is that kind of more your hobby, I should say?
I mean, we're very active at our particular parish.
Yes.
So there was that. But I just thought, well, I could work in my parish, do ministry at the parish, which we do.
Oh, yes.
You're more seen than I am, which is kind of weird considering I tower over you. I'm not exactly short.
You're standing at the ambo, though. I have not.
That's true. But we wanted to kind of expand. And I mean, we have contacts outside of our diocese, obviously,
Yes.
because I was not originally in this diocese.
Me neither.
And so we wanted to kind of share it out there and just put it out there because not everyone is exactly like us.
Sure.
With our various expertise. So that was why we decided to do it.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome stuff right there. So, what really sets you apart through your media, through your ministry from other things? Because again, I mean, if you Google anything Catholic online, you might have the same question and have multiple videos on that same question and on saints, feasts, whatever. But really, um, just when people, like, well, why should I go listen to them instead of, you know, keeping with what I'm listening to right now, maybe more comfortable with, I should say, instead of looking, getting new horizons. What's different? What sets you apart?
This is actually something we were trying to find in our first year or so of doing our podcast, just what makes us different. Because we can share about feast days and theology, and it's like we enjoy doing it and people like to hear it. But it's like, what can we do that's just going to be more us? And that's how we kind of got into talking more about pop culture and giving kind of a Catholic commentary or Catholic lens on movies and books.
And we both have the experience and the bona fides, if you will, to actually talk about it. Because Beth has a much more of a theatrical background. You have a good background in music. I'm more of a movie guy. I actually spent some time in Hollywood. I've worked on multiple movie sets in I worked on a couple in Los Angeles. I've worked on some in Florida. I've made my own films, so I know the pain of making a movie and what makes a movie work. That's what my degree's in.
Yes, and then I have a film minor, but mine was because I have a creative writing major as well. So my film minor was very analytical and just we're going to interpret movies, put a literary analysis on film. So when we're looking at these films, like he knows all about the technical stuff and the artistry, and I'm just like, yes, but what does this mean?
Yeah,
And we actually can bring that together and work together very well.
we do.
Awesome, great. So, kind of just throw this in there as a, who gets the final say if you both come up with something you want to do? Who gets the final say of it's going to be this for this episode?
We plan that together. There isn't anyone who has a final say. We're just like, okay, what fits here? What fits there?
Oh, I really want to talk about this topic. Okay, I think that's a good topic. I want to talk about this topic. Are
Sure.
you sure? Can we really do that? Now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get a little bit of a final say on certain things I'll be like, oh, the timing here is really good. Or
Yes.
if I just really want to be a troll, and then I'm like stomping my foot down, not literally, but figuratively. I'm like, I really want to do this. I want to make people suffer.
Awesome. So, what do you hope that people get out of your show, of your podcast, out to your mission? Because again, we'll dive into what else you do, but in terms of the podcast itself, what do you hope people leave with after watching and listening to you?
A sense of, well, these people are just regular Joes. Because I mean, I'm not a theologian. I don't have such I don't have those qualifications. I mean, I got a minor in religion from a Pentecostal university, so that's just junk. Um, in my opinion, as a Catholic man. But we really care about it's two younger folks, because I mean, that's quite a bit younger than I am. But we're on the younger side of the average Catholic podcaster. But we want to talk about, we have this passion, we actually care, and we both have the knowledge to actually give this out. And we try to engage with our fans. We have comments on our videos and such, and usually I'm the one commenting on those. And Beth handles our Facebook page, and she hops on there and chats with some people, which is always fun.
Yes.
But we want to be available. That would be the big thing for me.
Yes. And just a lot of commentary about how do we live in the world when we're not of the world. Because, like, a lot of Catholics, they won't go into church and be like, oh, I watched a great TV show last night. Even if there's nothing inherently bad with the TV show, but, oh, it's not about Jesus. It's not about the apostles. I shouldn't talk about this at church. It's like, well, we're allowed to enjoy things in the world as long as it's not going to lead us into sin.
Exactly.
It's like, how do we do that? How can we find good things in movies, in TV shows, in books? Because I love fiction, and not all fiction is Catholic, but there's a lot of good fiction out there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I like how you put that, because yeah, it's tough, because it's, you know, we don't belong to this world, but we act like we do, and we often think we do on a day-to-day basis. So absolutely. So yeah, so just looking over your website, prepping for the show, I was, you know, again, looking at more of this movie course that you sent to me on show notes before the show. So tell us a little bit about this movie course, because it seems very, very intriguing.
Okay. So it's called Morality in Movies.
Yes.
And we go through a film, and we have a virtue or
Some kind of Catholic teaching.
some kind of Catholic teaching, and we attach one of those teachings to one film, and we expand upon how the film actually shows this virtue or whatever in action, or what are the consequences of inaction, or the polar opposite of it. Sometimes we actually, one or two films, we actually talk about both, what
Yes.
the virtue and its opposite, and how that plays out in the movie. And usually these films do that very, very well. So there are 20 movies we go through.
Yes.
We have, there's a video lesson. Either one of us is on there or both of us. And we also have a sheet with discussion questions. So it's really good for small groups, or if you have a very large family, like I know a few, because Catholics. And they could go through it together, and it's a really good educational tool.
And we include lots of scripture, catechism, saints quotes.
Oh yeah.
Because we're not just pulling all of these things out of thin air, or just, oh, the gospel according to Stephen and Beth. We don't believe in that.
No, we don't.
This is actual teaching that we are just applying.
Yeah. We did a lot of research.
We did.
So, I have up on the monitor, just kind of looking through the about study of Catholic themes and films and stuff. That's what I have up right now. Would you consider it, like, if, let's just say, family who homeschools wants to teach the kids, and I was looking to find more ways to teach the faith in different aspects. Would you consider, would you promote this to be kind of more of a Catholic school curriculum, or is it more for the older age Catholics after, like, confirmation, so to say?
I mean, we have such a variety of films in there that people of all ages can enjoy it. We were actually talking to some members of our parish. They're like, oh, are these all new films? Are the older people going to like it? I'm like, our films go back to 1940.
Wow.
Yeah, we have one film from 1942, and the newest film is 2018. And we only have 2 R-rated films in there. Everything else is PG, PG-13.
Yes.
We wanted to give a little bit of something for everybody and make it still accessible, because we were thinking, oh, our kids are going to watch this. We have a few Disney films in there.
Yes.
and we have, old classics from one of the films we have actually in there is Casablanca.
Yes, that's our oldest one.
That is our oldest one. And we have Sound of Music and things
Yes.
like that. So we wanted to touch on films that didn't have anything too objectionable. I mean, the worst thing I think we have is violence. A couple of
And
them.
some language.
Language in the one R-rated film. That one of those films definitely earned the R rating
Yeah,
for
so
violence and
yeah,
language.
don't show those to your kids, but it's like unless you buy the full package, you don't have to buy the ones that you do not want to watch.
Yeah, because we set up that you could do individual ones.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I see for everyone who's not looking at the site right now for listeners and stuff. Got the Hunger Games and got a Goddess Society, Harry Potter. I know a lot of people either like or don't like Harry Potter, so that's a big one. And Light and Darkness, The Incredibles 4-2, the Batman vs Superman, just as a name a few. So, like you're talking about, you kind of set the price, and they can buy either, whichever ones they want, correct?
Yes, and then we have some packages too by genre. We're working on putting out some more packages just because there might be someone who, oh, I just want all the Disney films. And okay, you can buy all the Disney films and save a few bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Because our genre packages do knock the price down a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of knocking the price down, we're actually running a special for the month of February, Love and Film 25.
Yes. It's at the top of our website too.
Yeah, we wanted to make it easy for people because
Yes.
I mean, we get that courses can be expensive, but we also want to be able to get return on the investment of time and energy and all that stuff because we put in a lot of man hours.
Yeah, and we think it's worth it. We think the material's pretty good.
It is.
Sounds good. It really does sound really good. So what? Again, questions kind of keep coming in my head right now. But so what came first? So the podcast, I guess the podcast came first, and then this was on later on, correct?
Yes.
Yes, the podcast came first, and then from there we're just like, what else can we do? Because this is fun, but we want to do more. So we wrote some books, a couple of seasonal devotionals for Advent and Lent, made a couple of prayer journals.
We did a Christmas one.
And our Christmas book, which is more of a theological study than a devotional.
Yeah.
But
that
it's
one
still
was
a fun book, yes.
And
then we're just like, what now? We're tired of writing books for the moment. And it's like, what about a course? Great. What would we do a course on?
And do you mind if I tell the origin
Go
story? So we were on one of our afternoon walks, as we are wont to do, and I remembered when I was in high school, we were on this high school retreat, and and one of the speakers brought up 3 different movies. I can't remember which ones they were, but the subject was, what are Christ-like figures in movies? And I said, ooh, that's interesting. And we went everywhere from like The Matrix to I forgot what the other 2 were right off the top of my head, but she had very specific criteria, like, oh, he rose from the dead, he died young, the main character will upset people in authority and stuff like that. And I said, what if I approached it a slightly different way, but still a very a similar thought pattern? And I wish I remembered the instructor's name because she now owes me I now owe her for my course. But it was brilliant. And I said, what if we attach it this way? Why don't we come at it with Catholic virtues shown in the movie?
Yes. And I'm like, ooh, I know which movies I want to talk about. Can I add some?
Yeah. And so we sat down and we're like, oh, 20 movies. That's going to be easy. We'll have this done in like a few weeks.
Like 6 months later.
That was about 6 months worth of work.
6 months times 24 times 4 weeks. So that's what, 24 weeks. So it's not too bad. But I mean, yeah, I think I would think a lot of people think of that. I mean, for me, like I work at a local Catholic school, and one of the volunteer substitute teachers, she's like, you can use kind of your imagination, kind of make stuff up. But now again, Catholic virtues is not made up, but you kind of learn to think things about a different way. Kind of like Catholic virtues in movies. Most people don't think of that. So that's a great, thing to really think about, and like you guys, really go into research on, because I can think of, like, again, the Harry just some of these movies I'm looking at. I probably want to think of that. So that's a great, actually, great idea.
Yeah.
So
we thought so. That's why we went crazy and working on the course. And I'm sitting in my office, which is our editing suite, and I'm in there for hours at a time putting these video parts together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of them really, really catch the eye. That is for sure. That, again, at least for me, Inside Out, and Childlike versus Adult Thinking. That sounds like a good one. My
We did.
uh, yeah, My Fair Lady and Human Dignity. Oh, yeah, I see the Sound of Music. Oh, Coco, that's a good one. So again, these are different ones that folks, you can go on the website. We'll have the show notes, link to on the show notes right down below, so it's quick access for you. So I guess one thing, I guess we can maybe wrap up the show with this, or maybe one more question, guys, is, what has really what has the story been like for you? Can you explain how much fun and how much more stuff you have learned, just like you said, doing all this research on the movies as well as the podcast?
There's a lot.
There is a lot. Yes.
It's actually done very well for us in our marriage, because it's nice to work with someone you can build stuff with. And we don't have kids right now, but it's nice to actually create something together in that way. I don't work well with other people because I have a very strong personality. So it's kind of nice. And Beth is actually very good at balancing me, because I can get a little fire and brimstone.
Sure.
There are a couple of times on the show it comes out and I'm just like, I'm not editing this part out, but this is too important. And she doesn't argue with me on that point. So that's nice. So that's been my thought on it.
Yeah, and it's just nice that we have very similar interests in some regard, but we've also got very different skill sets that we're able to contribute to projects like these quite well. Because you're very good with all the film stuff, you're good with the editing. I am not, but it's like I can do more of the graphics work. I do a lot of research.
Yeah. I help you research.
You do.
So it's not like I'm sitting on my hands waiting for the video to be done.
No, you are not.
No,
I'm usually setting up. You're making the coffee, because we are drinking coffee on camera.
Oh, we are.
For our show.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, and it's a win-win for sure. So that's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Catholicism and Coffee. That's the site. We'll also have the show notes down below. Stephen and Beth Gesinski, thank you for joining us again here on the Catholic Table Talk, and good luck to the show, and hope to have you back on again.
That's like a plan.
Awesome. Again, we'll have the links on the show notes. I keep saying show notes, but we'll have the links down in the show notes. So for quick access to that, again, for the movie class courses, highly recommend that you look at them, and it could be a great thing to do for Let coming up here shortly. Also, it's more of maybe a family night if you're spending in the season of Let or out of the season of Let. Make that a family night and watch a couple of the shows of the movies, I should say. All right, that'll do it for another week here at Catholic Table Talk Podcast. Stay in the state of grace, and you do that by going to the sacraments. So go and do that. Stay safe and warm wherever you're at. Again, Let is coming. Be prepared. And we'll see you next time, God willing, on Catholic Table Talk.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Catholic Table Talk Podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to Catholic Table Talk on your favorite podcast platform to get new episodes delivered directly to you every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern.